Hello, Dr. Bush here. I'm going to give you some instruction with this video on how to go about accomplishing your final project. One of the first things that I want you to do is select which project you're going to do. The difference between the two projects is not work or difficulty, but merely topic. There are two study packages available for you to select from inside Moodle. One is the topic of capital punishment, the other is animal rights. Now, one of the things you need to understand about the final project is that if you follow the instructions, you will do well. If you fail to follow the instructions, your score will reflect that and probably be poor. So the thing that you are not to do in this final project is try to solve the large issue of animal rights or capital punishment. People have been arguing about those two topics for a very long time, and you are not going to solve that discussion, that debate in your paper. And I don't even want you to try. What you're going to do is you're going to accomplish or tackle and deal with a case study that is presented in the study package. So the very first page that you open in the study pack contains the case study. It's a story of an issue, and it relates either to capital punishment or to animal rights. I want you to read that and understand the case study, because that is the issue that you're going to be trying to solve. Now, a couple of steps as we go through this. The first step is I want you to do a literature review. What that means is I want you to look at several articles and learn something about the overall major topic, capital punishment or animal rights. I have provided 10 to 13 articles for you so that you do not need to worry yourself about trying to find appropriate articles and going to the library, etc., etc. They're already there for you. Now, you don't need to read all of the articles. You do need to scan them. You need to flip through them. You need to look through them, because this is what I want you to find. Go through those articles and understand that they're all talking about the shared common interest, capital punishment or animal rights. And each one of the article writers is presenting an argument. And they're going to argue for their perspective based on several themes or several points of debate. And as you flip through and look at many articles, you're going to see some of those themes of debate showing up over and over again. I want you to pick 4 of them. I want you to explain to me what that theme of debate is, and then tell me what the two sides of the argument are. So for every argument, there's more than one side. I want you to act simply as a neutral observer, a neutral reporter. Present the topic of debate and tell me what two sides. And I want you to find 4 of those for the project that you select. And you're going to find those in those articles. You're going to look for 4 common debate points that occur. So you could be able to say this. On the issue of capital punishment, when people get into the debate, they are usually talking about at least 4 common things or 4 common debate points. Here are what those debate points are. Here is each side of the coin for each one of those debate points, and just report it. The next thing you're going to do is, and what that tells you is you learn a little bit about what your topic is all about by looking at those debate points and writing about it. You just become generally educated about it, and that's going to be helpful to you as a whole. The very next thing you're going to do is, oh, and by the way, let me retrack here. I have provided on page 2 and 3 a bibliography for each one of those articles. So I want you to cite them as you use them. As you quote from them, I want you to provide a footnote, not an inline citation, but a footnote. And how to do that appears right there in the bibliography. You just need to copy and paste the bibliographic information and change the page number to reflect where you are drawing your quote from. Right now, the page numbers just tell you the range of the article. So that's how you cite those. Okay, the next thing I want you to do is go back to the case study and summarize it. Case studies always have extraneous details. I want you to pick out the most important details for this project and report those. So present those to me in a nice paragraph or two where you are reviewing the case study and you're telling me what it's all about and you're telling me which points are important in it. And then I want you to tell me who is the agent or the actor. Remember, ethics are a norm applied by a person to a situation. So what person is going to be applying the norm or making a decision given the situation of the case study? Now, I'll give you an example. I will tell you right now who the agent is. In the capital punishment case study, the agent is the governor. That is the only person in that case study who is left to make a decision. In the animal rights case study, the agent is the Canadian government. They are the ones who have to make a decision because they're writing laws. So now you know who the person is. And so as you move forward to deal with making a decision about your ethical dilemma, you're going to do it from the perspective of either the Canadian government or Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger for the capital punishment case study. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to articulate the ethical dilemma of the case study, not of capital punishment as a whole or animal rights, but you're going to look at the case study closely and tell me what the ethical dilemma is there. You're going to write a paragraph, 3 or 4 sentences to do that. And remember how I have taught you in this course about an ethical dilemma. It is not a common dilemma. It is not a hard situation. It is a situation in which you have 2 moral commands that you must follow, and you will transgress one of them by selecting the other. So you find yourself in a pickle, like in baseball, running between 2 bases. And those bases are 2 moral commands that you are obligated to uphold. The clearest demonstration of an ethical dilemma that I gave early in the course was Hein's dilemma. His dilemma was, do I love and preserve the life of my wife, or do I uphold the rule of not to steal? Both of those things Heinz should do. So you're going to look at the case study and you're going to figure out what are the 2 moral commands that need to be upheld, where if I do one, I will transgress the other. Write that up, because that is the issue that you're going to solve in this paper. And then as you move to the next part, part 2, you're going to go through several steps that consider each corner of the ethical triangle, the deontological, archaeological, and teleological corners. The first thing you're going to do is the deontological. And I want you to pretend for a moment that you are Immanuel Kant. He's the one who taught us all about moral imperatives. Or categorical imperatives. And that means something that you can will that all people in all places and times should do. A duty, a norm that must be upheld. I want you to think about the case study very hard and then come up with 3 categorical imperatives that would guide your thinking and your decision making. Which 3 categorical imperatives should you use as a rule to help you to navigate that ethical dilemma? Write it up. Tell me what they are. And then tell me, given those 3 categorical imperatives that you are using as a roadmap, this is how you would act if you considered only the deontological perspective in isolation from all others. Then move on. The next section, you'll do the archaeological. You're going to pretend like you're Jean-Paul Sartre, and you are going to deal with virtue ethics. And I want you to consider what 3 virtues should you uphold. Which three virtues would guide your decision making? Given the ethical dilemma, being in the pickle of the case study, what three virtues should you seek to fulfill? And then you will consider, you'll write them up, you'll tell me why, and then you'll say, if and only if I was considering this corner of the triangle in isolation from all other corners, given these three virtues, I would make this decision and I would choose this direction in my ethical dilemma and thereby transgress that other direction. Then you'll move on. You'll go to the teleological corner, and in that corner of the triangle, you're going to pretend like you are John Stuart Mill or Jeremy Bentham, who are our utilitarian teleologists, and you will tell me what results or what actions will bring a result that will cause for the greatest number of people to find the greatest amount of happiness. And you're going to consider 3 or 4 different actions, and you're going to talk about the results and who they affect and how they bring the greatest amount of happiness to the greatest number of people. And then you're going to say, if I consider just that corner in isolation from all others, this is how I would act in my ethical dilemma. This is the moral imperative or command that I would follow. This is the one I would break, and this is why. Then you're going to move to the final, the integration section of the paper. And in that one, you're going to look for the center of our ethical triangle, the place in which the normative and the virtue and the consequential come together, deontological, archaeological, and teleological. When you consider all of them and their influence upon each other, where does it lead you? How does it guide you? What decision do you then make in order to resolve the ethical dilemma of the case study you're working on? Remember, if you keep this isolated to the case study and to nothing else, it will go a lot easier and you will write the paper that I want to read. And then I would like you to put a nice conclusion on the paper summarizing all that you have done, where you have come down, and why, and button it all up with a nice period at the end. So that is the final project. You've got probably a little bit more than a month to work on it. And if you chew it slowly, part by part, piece by piece, you'll find that in the end you have a nice sized term paper to turn in. I would have you to turn in the sections of the paper slowly so I can look at them and provide some comments. And then at the very end of the course, you're going to do 2 things. You're going to stitch them all together and turn in one PDF or Word document that has everything together as one grand paper, and you're going to upload that at the end of the term, and I'll grade that one. That will be the only one that I'll put a grade on. The rest I will put comments on earlier. They're just parts. And then the last thing you will do to finish the class is you need to take the course post-test. Okay? It looks exactly like the course pre-test, except for now you have proceeded through the course and you know a lot more than you did when you started off. So that is the final project. If you've got any questions, please reach out and connect with me, and we'll talk about how I might help you to figure out where you're going wrong or how to do better. And remember, the key to all of this is identifying clearly the ethical dilemma and seeking to solve it. Now, remember Heinz, when he solved his ethical dilemma, either he obeyed the law of not to steal and he watched his wife die, or he saved the life of his wife and he went to jail and served some time. In both of those options, the other option was transgressed. And we know that he was duty-bound to uphold both. So that's what I want you to look at, the case study, and find that ethical dilemma. That is what you're seeking to resolve by making a decision. And then being able to back it up really well by showing that you have thought through the deontological, archaeological, and teleological perspectives of ethical decision-making. Now, one last word. I'm going to go back to the beginning of the paper and talk to you about that literature review. I want you to write 3 paragraphs on each major point that you discover that is part of the grand debate on your topic. Just want you to present it. The first paragraph of those 3 will talk to me about what the debate point is, and then in the next 2 paragraphs, you will present the opposing views on that debate point. And then you go on to the second debate point and do 3 more paragraphs. And then you'll go on to the third and the fourth, and you'll write 3 paragraphs on each. Remember, I do not want your opinion. I only want you to report as a neutral observer and tell me about what is going on in the world as they debate that topic. And that'll sit in the back of your mind as you do the final project, and it will influence you some. Also, this paper needs to show that you have looked at 4 or more sources and that you are quoting and drawing from them. So I expect to see lots of footnotes, properly citations throughout. If you borrow 5 words or more from any other author, you need to put it in quotes and provide the citation. It's okay to give citations and quotes. You just got to do it properly. Okay? So again, if you've got any questions, reach out and call me. I hope this video has helped you to move forward in the final project. It's a lot of work, but if you chew on it slowly, a little bit at a time, you'll be done before you know it, and you'll be proud of yourself for having written a great term paper. All right, I hope this helps you. We'll talk later. Bye-bye.